Welcome to another episode of Chris McBride Reacts. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, smash that notification bell so you can be notified anytime we drop another banger on the channel. Throughout the video, leave a comment. Definitely let us know your takeaways. I got the guest, the very special, did I say special? The very special Miss ALAINA Parks in the building. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. How are you?
Blessing and progressing every day above ground is a good one. So we appreciate y'all liking the last video we did on Patrice O'Neal. That seemed to be a channel favorite. So we're gonna rock out with some more Patrice O'Neal. How you feeling about that?
I'm excited. I like Patrice O'Neal. I don't know what this one is about at all, so I'm excited.
All right, well, let's see what he's talking about.
And a phone book comes flying on the stage. Patrice threw a phone book
1 seconds.
at me. All you heard was and you sit back. It hits the floor and Patrice said, read it. There's better material in it than what you're saying now. Crowd starts laughing.
First off, anytime a dude's like, that's how you know it was real funny. So that was like genuine laughter right there. That wasn't even like, no.
I didn't even know she was just talking about the guy in the background.
Yeah, that was, I think, Joe Rogan and Kevin Hart talking about a Patrice O'Neal story after Patrice O'Neal had died, R.I.P.
Yeah.
Talking about.
In this dark basement known as the Comedy Cellar in New York, some of the best comedians in the world have gathered to sharpen their skills in the often brutal world of stand-up comedy. Bill Burr, Kevin Hart, Jim Norton, Colin Quinn, Greg Giraldo, and Bobby Kelly all said there was no place like the Comedy Cellar to help them develop the thick skin needed in the comedy scene. The Cellar reserved a table just for comedians to gather and abuse each other over their new haircut or the shirt they wore that day. No one was safe, and to be brutalized at the table was...
No, I need to work on my patience, but I just be on the skip like, get to Patrice.
You gotta get the background, the build up, you know what I'm saying? Like who Patrice was, like as his role, and you gotta get all the feels of it.
And I'll be a little bit more patient. Just give him a little bit more time and see what he's talking about and everything. A little bit.
often seen as a rite of passage.
Yeah.
That's so awful.
It's so awful.
It sounds terrible.
No, it made us better. If you had all 5 of them trashing you, like when you went on stage and somebody heckled you, it was hilarious.
Yeah. But in this world, there was one figure who loomed larger than all the rest.
And there were nights when you were on a roll and you were killing someone at the table, and then he starts walking in, like your heart would sink, like, oh fuck, here we go. Here we go. Now it's the real deal. Dad's home.
At the comedian's table in the Comedy Cellar, Patrice was king. Known for his brutal honesty and ability to improvise for hours on stage, Patrice O'Neal was a comic's comic through and through. He was the definition of no fucks given, and this attitude not only made him incredibly respected by his peers, but also translated into some of the greatest stand-up comedy the world has ever seen.
If you give a lie detector test to a man and a woman and ask them the same questions, man, we would pass them both up to a point where it's like, hey, ask a woman, you love your man, you love your family, you love your home, you love what you built? Yep. All right. You see Brad Pitt or Denzel Washington or whatever standing there, would you risk everything you built with your man just to sleep with him? And women, look, they go, nah, I wouldn't. And they'll pass the test. They be like, they look good, but I wouldn't. Ask guys the same thing, boom, love your woman, the kids, the house, yeah. All right, you see that girl passed out behind the dumpster?
He is so dumb.
Would you risk everything for a passed out woman behind a dumpster? I don't want to, but look at her with garbage on. She looks so cute with garbage on her.
That's funny.
When Patrice was a boy, there was one traumatizing event that would come to shape much of his later worldview.
What happened? It was white and blackness involved.
Oh boy, got yourself
that's-
a piece of white ass.
So here's the story. We're going to look for these other girls that we met. So we started, talking to them, blah, blah. So in the car, there was a black girl and a Portuguese girl. And it just went smoothly. Just talking, just chilling, just fucking, things like that. Being young, here's the mistake. We told one of the guy's cousins that this chick, we did this. Yeah, we had a fun time 2 weeks ago. He goes and grabs her, and this fucking cocksucker, to this day, I hate this motherfucker. He blackmails her. Says, listen, if you don't suck my dick,
Oh no.
I'm gonna tell everybody. She sucked his dick. After she sucked his dick, she runs through school. She goes into her big brother's classroom who goes to the same school. He gets up and he's chasing that motherfucker around school.
Wow.
Trying to kill him. They get him in the office. She goes, he raped me. And then she goes, uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
And I got raped in Boston 2 weeks ago.
Oh no.
What?
Oh no.
What?
Hey, the crazy thing is though, that's like, I don't want to say very common, but I for sure heard about that story pretty often, where it's just like it turns into rape when it's an uncomfortable situation for the white girl. Like,
Okay, and you know what? Okay, I don't know what this movie is called, but there's this movie. I really don't know what the movie's called. But there was like this guy who was in college or something like that. He played a sport. He was black and she was white. And they started having sex, but they were at a house party. And I think she got caught by her parents. And that's the same thing she said. But it went to trial and it was like this whole big thing. But the movie was really good. And I think he ended
I
up being
did
out.
see that. I can't remember what it was, but I definitely seen it. Even on The Wire, shout out to The Wire, when they had that episode in season 4 in the high schools or middle schools or whatever, and the one girl and the dude asked Randy to watch the bathroom for $5 while they ran a train on her, and then the friends ended up telling the homie that they got the girl, that they ran a train on a girl, and the girl was cool with it all up until the homie that didn't get any but just ridiculed her in the hallway in front of everybody. And then the girl ran to the office and said that she had got raped because she was embarrassed and all that stuff like that. So that's crazy. That sheesh, man. Sorry you had to deal with that, Patrice, man. That was crazy. I never knew he experienced that.
Yeah.
This is why I love my mother like I don't love anybody else. And when I told her it was a white girl, she went, "Ah!"
Oh man.
I was in the trunk of a car heading to a state unknown.
How'd you guys get off?
Didn't get off.
You didn't.
Didn't get off. I was 16, she was 15. But we admitted, yeah, we fucked her.
Yeah.
But it's 16, 15. And that's statutory.
That was statutory.
That's it.
How long?
2 months.
Wow.
And he had to do 2 months for statutory rape for something that consented.
But
That shouldn't be okay.
with the laws and stuff, you know that the age of consent and stuff is 16, so they say you can't consent if you're under 16.
Even if she's 15, but the dude is 16.
Now that's the first time I've ever heard of that. I've heard it being statutory when it's like closer to 18 and she's under 16, but I've never heard of it being like 16 and 15. I didn't know. I thought there was like a grace period between like ages, but I don't
heard
know.
of a case in Texas where it was like a 6-year-old dude got head from like a 15-year-old girl or something. They gave that nigga or until he was in jail till he was like 18 because of that or something.
Are you serious?
Something crazy.
You can get in a lot of trouble for stuff like that when you're young. You can get in a lot of trouble for stuff like that when you're young.
I just don't like how it can just turn into rape just because you're about to get punished by your parents or just because you got embarrassed by your friends or something like that. That's crazy because that shit don't escape a person. Like, it was on an episode of, I think, the Carmichaels where they kind of discussed this, where being accused of rape is almost just as bad as raping somebody because the accusations never leave you. Almost just like the Bill Cosby situation. Motherfuckers canceled his whole legacy and everything like that, and they dropped all charges, and nobody is talking about that. Everybody's just like, oh yeah, he went home, but they're not canceling out all of the slander that went into it before. Like, they're just like, oh, well, he just got out, so maybe somebody did it. And I'm like, fam, like, or he at least did one of them. Or I'm like, bro, if he at least did one, them niggas wouldn't have got him. He wouldn't be out, bro. They were trying with every little thing that they can do. They were trying to get him. And if they couldn't, and literally federally, these are the best agents ever in life, and federally they couldn't. And if all of those got dropped, then it's just like, fam, at some point in time, I don't know, it's just scary that just the accusation can go out there and that can wipe out everything that you've ever done with no proof whatsoever. That's just, other than just, again, somebody that's in an uncomfortable position saying that this happened to him. I like that one too.
O'Neal would remain haunted by the swiftness with which his whole life could be destroyed by a stereotype. Patrice fought back, not by running from the stereotypes, but by reshaping them. Patrice saw the inherent friction caused by our cultural histories and backgrounds, but he was of the philosophy that we can choose to find the funny in our differences, instead of being so damn angry all the time.
I hate how much fun black people can have racially, man. It's just, I can say anything I goddamn want racially, and white people have to sit there and take it. I am evil, yes. It's like, come on, man. Black people ain't getting no money for slavery. We ain't gonna get reparations. What we did have is language. We got to say anything we want, the way we want, which is the reparations, which is the fact that I can say cracker all day, and everybody goes, but because that was my payoff.
Where Patrice undoubtedly left his most unique mark.
That's an interesting point that I hadn't thought about that.
That's a very interesting, like a unique perspective on racism.
That is, because I never thought about like that. That is a benefit, I guess, to being black, if you want to call that a benefit, that we do get to, we can go cracker ass cracker. Like, I mean, Chris Rock been saying that forever, but again, as soon as somebody says some nigga or anything like that, then it's an issue. So that was a good, interesting, maybe another topic for a video. Interesting.
Was on the topic of women and relationships. And this also happened to be where his words caused the most friction.
Patrice, you're full of bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
You know that?
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Here's a question. Here's a serious question. Okay, ladies, if you didn't have a vagina, like say it was a terrible train accident, right? And the doctor was like, you have to remove your pussy right away.
How things would happen.
Or you're gonna die. How would you keep your man past, you get a 2-month guilty, I can't leave the bitch right away because she just lost a pussy in a train accident. How would you keep your man past that if you didn't have a vagina? Wow. Nothing? You can talk.
You can talk.
Provocative.
Suck his dick. Okay. Mouth. Asshole. Okay, great. You see what I'm saying? Now, I've been getting pussy beamed the whole show, right? But I give women the opportunity to say, I'm gonna make myself worth more. But you just classified yourself as a series of holes. But I'm supposed to treat you special, but you're just a bunch of holes to yourself. No one said learn how to play Xbox, learn how to play pool.
Learn how to play Xbox.
Tell better stories, get another bitch that got a pussy to come on in.
No.
Much of comedy is...
That's funny, but he also brings up a good point where when he just asks all the ladies, you know what I'm saying, if you lost your vagina, how would you keep your man? And the only thing they mentioned were just sexual pieces. Well, I'll use my mouth, I'll use my ass. And it's just like, is that all that makes us happy as men?
That's a good question from you, man. So what makes you happy?
I mean, as somebody that, you know what I'm saying, lives with me and you keep me happy, would you feel like that, you know what I'm saying?
No, because I know that you are not just with me for sex and things of that nature. So I just would say, honestly, a lot of it, I think a lot of it honestly comes from, you know, just how I, presented myself to you. I think our chemistry is good. I think that I put a lot of time and attention into having good times with you, like creating memories and stuff like that with you. Because I feel like, and I think another thing too that I have had to learn to focus on, that's just not sex, but like intimacy. You know what I'm saying? Like I could make you feel wanted in different ways, not just like, oh, let's go to whatever. But you know what I mean? Like being intimate in different ways with you. I think that keeps you.
Yep, but then also, you know what I'm saying, when I tell you what attracted me to you and everything, it's, you know what I'm saying, never just like sexual things. Not saying that I'm not sexually attracted to you, but when we think about
we know that.
how I treat you differently, you know what I'm saying, versus any other woman that I came across, you know what I'm saying? Like,
we have had a lot of conversations about that as well. So it's like, yeah, I could understand. Not I could understand, but like I got exactly where he was coming from as soon as he said it, because it was like it was all sexual stuff, you know what I mean? And I mean, I don't know where their minds went automatically, because it's just like, I don't know if it's because he referenced a vagina that they thought, I don't know, but it's just like there's other ways to keep people happy in relationships too, not just sex.
no, facts, but I think that is really what everybody thinks, because even on social media, that's just, you know what I'm saying, like girls literally just dress like that and then just be wondering why dudes ain't shooting their shot, and they just like, I mean, dudes will shoot their shot to, you know what I'm saying, try to have sex with you, but when you looking for, you know what I'm saying, what I guess what we got are a man to treat you how I treat you and can really cover you or not, it's really that you're going to just stimulate a man sexually, and sexually that's going to make him want to do that. That's rare. It literally damn near got to be things outside of that makes a man want to really do that for a woman. It's rare. It's rarely sex, because like he just said in the previous thing, where it's just like it's easy to arouse a man sexually, you know what I'm saying, like it's not really, like you said, a girl, now it's exaggeration, but it's almost, you know what I'm saying, it's not that, like where it's like a guy penis could get hard literally at almost just anything. So just the fact that a woman could arouse a man sexually, that's not really like separating you from, you know what I'm saying, any other woman, if that makes sense.
Tiptoeing the line of what the audience finds acceptable. Then Patrice came along.
I'm like, fam.
I don't know why that's so funny to me, but like, look at the toe.
I was like, this is 6 toes? It's like extra toe?
No, that's
That's what I'm saying.
That's 5 toes. No, that's 5 toes.
Y'all let us know in the comments, man, because I'm
That's
like, is
5
that 6?
toes.
That's some weird. All right.
And took a 300-pound cannonball dive past that line. And yet, no matter how far he pushed, he could always win the audience back. He was a master at pulling you into his reality and making you see things from his point of view, even if you completely disagreed with what he was saying.
The great thing about watching that HBO half hour is that it's all like every bit starts with like provoking, unlikable statements. He says something and they're like, huh, and then he kills with that. It's amazing. He's fucking, you know.
It was the Socratic method, according to Patrice. If you came at him without a firm grasp of who you are and what you stand for, he was going to destroy your entire existence, and along the way, force you into self-examination. The term reality distortion field was coined at Apple in 1981 to describe Steve Jobs, who with a mix of bravado, charisma, charm, and utter dickishness was able to convince himself and others that almost anything was possible. This idea works in a negative way as well. If you are intimidated by someone, they will pick up on it, and very often they will use it to push you around. This idea is perfectly captured in a story Patrice told about being robbed as a boy.
This is why I'm so angry. I'm so quick and angry. Because the guy had been testing me all the way that night. We was playing basketball, and just some dude was around, just bumping into everybody. Okay, it's called the punk test. So, like, it's like 5 phases. I bump into you, then it's like a step on your foot, then it's like a hard pinch. He goes, hey, yo. And I said, uh-oh. So I tried to be hardcore.
Right away.
I tried to be hardcore, but he had already given me the punk test. I failed miserably. He didn't need a gun at that point, but he knew it. He already knew.
This moment taught him a valuable lesson. Where most people go their entire lives terrified of confrontation, Patrice decided to lean into it. He was able to talk about race and sex in a way nobody else could, even in comedy clubs, because he was a master at disarming people. First, because he knew himself inside and out, and was completely comfortable telling people about his suitcase of glass dildos, or his time spent in prison. And second, because his incredible sense of humor could shut down any anger you feel towards him.
A violent act of hitting her in the back of her head, her body.
It's called the donkey punch.
Which will then...
Broadcasted.
Why are you laughing? She's outraged. It's called the donkey punch. It's whole humor that she has no clue what it is.
He not only embraced confrontation, but sought it out, because that is where he thrived. There are many great comedians who passed away far too young, but unlike most of them, Patrice had thousands of hours of his musings on life, relationships, women, and happiness, immortalized on the radio show Opie and Anthony, which have now been cataloged across YouTube, allowing the truly unique thoughts of Patrice O'Neal to live on in a way never seen before. As good as Patrice's stand-up was, this is where he was at his best, sitting in a room with his friends, shooting the shit. His advice for men about the topic of relationships was so different from what anyone else was saying, and eventually it all culminated with the birth of the Black Phillip Show, with Patrice acting as the Black Dr. Phil for the dozens of men and some women who called in seeking advice. There was a simple message Patrice wanted us to get, and that was to not let anybody walk all over you. For all the talk of toxic masculinity in society today, way more men are struggling to assert themselves than ever before. While the entire world is out there trying to tell you where your value as a man comes from, Patrice was the one person to come along and say that it is your own happiness that comes first, before everything else. If you spend your life trying to please others, you will only make yourself and everyone around you miserable. It is a crime that Patrice was not a household name, but much of that was his own doing. His pure not give a fuck attitude is what made him so great, but...
Yeah, he had the most don't give a fuck of any
100%.
comic I ever met. Like
100%.
the most.
100%.
Yeah.
Good and bad, though.
Yeah.
You know, there was a good to it, and there was also some bad to, you know, a lot of things that didn't happen for Patrice probably could have happened, but I think the level of not give a fuck prevented some of those things.
Well, he was almost too authentic.
Yes.
Patrice hated the reality of show business, and he regularly spoke out against it. For Patrice, all that mattered was the truth, and he simply refused to not speak his mind. But at a certain point, it seemed like honesty, integrity, and refusing to compromise became sugar-coated terms for self-sabotage. It's not like he was asked to do ridiculous or immoral things. He simply had to show up and audition for Spike Lee, or not trash the execs at Comedy Central for 30 minutes. But then again, maybe we don't get one without the other. Maybe the guy who would sit there and be contrite in a Comedy Central interview could never be as genuinely funny as Patrice O'Neal, the man who spent all his time with the best comedians in the world, all of whom, without question, said Patrice was always the funniest guy in the room.
That was an interesting video, man. Definitely learned a lot about Patrice O'Neal. Again, RIP to one of the GOATs of comedy. What was your thoughts and takeaways on the video?
You know what? I actually really liked this last part, even though it was kind of serious. It wasn't like a whole bunch of clips of him doing his stand-up. But I think it honestly just speaks volumes to just like, I think he was right. Like, you really do have to be yourself. You really like unapologetically have to be yourself. I think that's why he was able to like push the boundaries he was able to push and still keep people like engaged and laughing and stuff like that, because it's like he knows who he is. If you know who you are, you could just laugh and let it go. You don't have to agree. It may be funny, some of the stuff he says and things of that nature. At least that's how I always look at him. I don't agree with everything he says too, but he's funny. He's a funny dude. And I think, I think he was authentic. So it's just like, that's who you have to be in this world. You got to be yourself above all of it. So it's like, he really lived through that and really did that. And I think he'll continue to just live on in people's minds and hearts and things of that nature. So I like this video. I think it showed him in a really good light and really gave us some insight, deeper insight into who he was.
I dig it. Well, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Go ahead and leave a like if you haven't already. I'm gonna give you 1 second to help a brother reach his goal with reaching over 1,000 subscribers immediately. So go ahead and hit that button and help me reach that. Give me a second. Leave a comment. Let us know your takeaways, your thoughts, what you agree with, what you disagree with, and definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified anytime we drop another video on the channel. How can what's your social media handle so they can reach you, and then also how can they reach Locked and Loaded?
So both of them are on Instagram. So I'll just give Locked and Loaded for this video. It's at Locked in like the letter N, Loaded on Instagram. So you can follow there, get your hair care products, all of those things.
Alrighty, well, I'll definitely leave a link to that in the description. Beyond that, y'all keep blessing, y'all keep progressing, y'all have an amazing day. We out.